Welcome everyone to another episode of Nita Nate's Books, Author's Point of View. It is a beautiful morning. My guest is Jerilynn Stephens. She is the author of The 5 F Words to Manifesting Your Life. She is an author, she is a speaker, she is a self-life coach, and she's a Hollywood hairstylist. Welcome, Jerilynn. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. This is Jerilynn Stephens. So tell us a little bit about you and we will get into your book, The 5 F Words to Manifesting Your Life. So tell us a little bit about Jerilynn.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name's Jerilynn Stephens, and I am an 8-time Emmy-nominated, Guild Award-winning hairstylist in Hollywood. And I run some big top-rated shows, the hair department. And I'm a wife of 13 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
My son is 13. So all that was very quick.
Right.
Yeah. And gosh, who else am I? I'm 51 and I'm a sober woman. So that's basically
amen to that.
Who I am.
Yeah. Good. Tell me how did the thought come to write this book?
You know, in 2018, I was at the top of my career. Like, I was department heading some big shows. I had some Emmy nominations, and I was like, wow, my life is really full of my dreams that I had when I started beauty school when I was 25 years old. And so I just kind of like said, universe,
right?
I want to be your vessel.
Right.
I want to be your vessel. I don't know what that looks like. Show me the way.
Right.
And what happened is I started sharing with beauty schools, and I spoke at a hair show about my journey in becoming a Hollywood hairstylist. I'm just a girl from Northern Michigan. Okay. And so I shared my journey. Here's the thing, 80% of the beauty industry quits within 3 years.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
That blew my mind, because I think my industry is the ultimate best thing ever and the most fun. So, you know, I started going around and just sharing about my journey and my 5 F words. Someone had asked me, you know, why is it you always get what you say? And I was like, well, it's manifesting. It's law of attraction.
Right,
and I started learning about that when I was 33.
Okay.
That's when I got sober.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when I got sober, I was like, I need to read every self-help book available because I was in a deep, dark place.
Right.
And so the books that I were starting to read were like all law of attraction, because somebody had said, here's the thing, everyone, right? It's like, if you hear something multiple times, 1 or 2, 3 times within a short amount of time, listen, that is universe. That is God.
Absolutely.
So my first law of attraction book was called, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yes, it is. And so I just started experimenting with the law of attraction and reading more books on that. And so anyway, when I was asked that question, why is it? What do you do? Well, like, what are your steps? I want to know. And I was like, well, you have to figure out what you want first.
Right.
And then you have to focus on it, which is your thoughts. Okay. And take action, fearless action, because fear will stop us from doing that action. And the action is what tells the universe you're serious, or God or source or whatever you believe, right? And then it's feeling it already existing. Like, I want you to get into the joy before it happens, because why do you have to be joyful and have fun and be happy and grateful? Why do you have to wait?
Right.
Be that, feel it already there, because then that energy is going to catapult you towards your goal even faster.
Right. Right.
And then the last one, which really is the foundation to everything, is faith.
Right.
Faith in yourself, faith in God, universe, faith that it'll happen, but let go of how you think it's going to happen.
Well, you know what? And thank you for that, because when I read the book, I was like, okay, what are the 5 F words? And of course, for me, as a Christian, faith and belief in what I'm doing is my foundation. So to really have the other 4 F's were pertinent even for me in reading this, because sometimes we have maybe 1 or 2 of those, and we may not have the 5, per se, that you have given, because we may focus on it, but we don't feel it, or we may feel it, or we don't have the mindset to speak it. And so having those 5 things were important even when I read it. So thank you for that. So
welcome.
Tell me, how did you come up with the title? Was it always, in reading your books, was it that, you pick this particular one out of a certain book, or was it something of your own philosophy that you've kind of said, okay, I need to focus, I need to, feel this, I need to have faith about it? So where did the specific 5 F's come from?
Well, it was in the very beginning when I first was asked that question. It was all F words, coincidentally, except for fearless action.
Okay.
I was like, well, then you have to take action. And my friend, who's a music writer, singer, she was the one asking me these, like, what are your steps? And I told her, and she's like, well, you need to put an F in front of action and call it the 5 F words.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? How did you think of that? You are so good. And I was like, of course it's fearless.
Fearless.
Because fear stops us.
It does. It really does.
It's like you get, but here's the thing, you guys, it's like you get that little bit of fear. That's good. It's like,
definitely.
Right? And then imagine just pushing through it, like bust fear in the face, like walk right through it. And then when you get through it, don't you always say, well, that wasn't that bad?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But she's the one who is actually like, you need to find an F in front of action, and it's 5 F words. And
oh, wow.
She's like, that's a brand. And I was like, well, God obviously put me with her at that moment to talk about that. And she's brilliant, right? With what she does in writing and and songwriting. So I was like, okay, yes, that is catchy. The 5 F words. First of all, the other F word is, I will say, is one of my favorites.
Right.
I'm careful about where I say it, of course, but it's like, it's catchy. The 5 F words, right? Well, what are those F words? Fantastic, fabulous. What are they? And so I thought the title was a little long, but I was like, you know what? It's, exactly what it's about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just going to be honest, when I think when you sent me, the information to your website, and it's the 5 F words, I was like, what is she going to say? But that's what attracts people to it, to say, okay, let me see what she's actually talking about here.
It causes you to pick it up and open it.
Exactly. So tell me, in this process of your writing this, what has been your most interesting or fun aspect in completing the project?
It's been how it's impacted other people that have, shared that experience with me. it truly is the reason why I started speaking to people. And it's the reason, you know, it's like they asked for the book.
Right.
I did not. I'm not an author. So when I was going around and speaking to beauty schools and at hair shows, they're like, do you have a book? And I'm like,
wow. Oh, wow.
No, I don't. So it was the experience of getting to hear their experience with it.
Right.
And so at that point, after hearing it 5 times, normally things only take me 2 to 3 times to hear.
Right.
But this took like 5 people asking me for a book within a very short amount of time of speaking engagements. And I was like, I have to write this book.
Right.
And so the greatest experience or, you know, gift I have from it is just helping others, you know?
Absolutely. So tell me, on the other end of that spectrum, what has been the most challenge? What was your challenge in writing this book and this process?
The challenge is I'm not a writer.
Okay.
So here's what I did. And this is for anyone who feels that, you know, they find themselves in the same situation that I am. Like, you have to put out a book because your message is beautiful.
Right.
And before I started speaking at schools, I hired a speaking coach because I was preparing for speaking at one of the biggest hair shows in the United States at the time. And so I wanted to make sure that like I was good, like I was great. Like I wanted to get my message across gracefully and beautifully and for people to understand it and not seem all across the board. So I hired a speaking coach before I started that was in June, and I started speaking coach in January of that year, of 2019, actually, 2019. And she helped me put together a PowerPoint with the 5 F words. So I had a guide map, right? And so when in March, when people started asking me about this book, I said, Suzanne, you need to help me write a book.
Right.
Because she knew my 5 F words. She spoke my language already. And she was like, great, let's do it. I'll be your writing coach. So what's great about coaches is they keep you on track, make you accountable. And she's like, when do you want to launch this book? And I said, well, I'm going to be 50 in November. This was in 2019. I want to launch it on my 50th birthday, November 5th.
Wow.
She was like, okay, it's March. And I said, yes. So that means let's self-publish. That much I knew.
Absolutely.
Amazon. Right. And that goes to Barnes and Noble and the one with Walmart.
Right.
Honestly, I don't sell any on that link, but Amazon's huge. And so we set up a timeline of when to have, like, she's like, okay, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. This needs to be done by this deadline. So which is crazy is I had 2 shows cancel in the summer.
Wow.
Okay. I said, universe, very interesting of you now, isn't it? So that freed up my summer to really like get it done.
Focus on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I told my husband, because obviously my income went way down. And I was just like, this is for my book. This is the time for me to finish it. And so with her help, we sat down and we basically like started with like each of the F words of what I wanted to say and talked about it. And then we intro in the ending and, you know, wrap it all up. And that's how we did it. And yeah, that's how it all happened.
Right. Tell me a little bit about, because everybody in reading your book, everybody doesn't have access like you have in regards to the stars and the people who, you know, that have given you the rah-rah in your book for this book. So tell everybody how you approached those Mark Cubans or
Oh,
those.
you're talking about,
uh,
oh, yeah.
Tell us how, because some people, you know, they may have access to celebrities or people influential in business and things of that nature. How do you approach someone to say, okay, I've written this book? How do you, you know, get them to say, okay, did they read it at first? Did they go by just your character, who, because they know you? What was that
Yeah.
process like?
Well, first of all, I never ask anything
Mm-hmm.
of my talent.
Okay.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
So this was kind of, I had, you know, when I started researching other books like mine, you know, I started looking at what they had. They had like these people giving them little, you know, praises and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, am I really going to have to ask one of my talent? Like,
Right.
oh my gosh. And so they knew what I was doing. You know, Damon John has been a huge, huge, huge support. You know, he's like, I want to interview you, Jerilynn. I want to do a little like how Hollywood Hairstylist and your book. And he was so amazing. He, you know, but he's the people shark, right?
Right,
He's
right.
Like, and I, you know, I've read his books. I listened to his podcast. He's so, just makes things so easy as well. Like he really, he's a mentor of mine. Robert Herjavec, client, you know, and so he knew everything that was going on. And Mark Cuban is just a doll. He is like the best. He's so generous. You would never know he's a billionaire. He doesn't flaunt or talk, or he just is this great guy who wants to help people.
Right.
And of course there's Barbara and Lori, but they have their personals. So I wasn't quite as close to them as, but they both were like, whatever I can do, to, you know, so, but I was like, okay, so Mark wrote me a little, you know,
blurb.
And Robert wrote me a little blip. And then I was like, you know, now I want to just kind of get a regular kind of person. And her name's Chloe Brown, and she's like the short hair girl on YouTube, Instagram with short hairstyles and things like that. And she actually, her and I connected. I invited her to come over, you know, shadow me on set one day. And it was just like this, like, I need to have her. Because she was kind of that regular non-celebrity, but although now she's got like gazillions of followers.
Right.
Right. She knows how to work that social media, which I don't. So if you want to follow me, go ahead.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Jerilynn Stephens, Hollywood Hairstylist, right here.
Hey everyone, this is Jerilynn Stephens' book, The 5 F Words to Manifesting Your Life. Go out and purchase it. Her information will be below. Thank you. And we'll be back in just a minute.
But she's a short-haired, she styles short hair on herself, and she's made a beautiful brand for herself. But like she and I connected through Instagram. And I loved what she was doing. And so that's the beautiful thing about social media is if you can actually use it as social. I have built such great relationships from people I have never met in person.
Absolutely.
You know,
and just to give you an example of that, it's just like for me, I was like, oh, I'm doing the writing, I'm getting on Twitter. But there are communities, there are writing communities, there's writers lists, there's, you know, all of those different things that you get to interact with other people from all around the world, you know, and build those relationships. So that's good.
That's exactly what I found over quarantine, you know, is I joined all these hairstyling platforms and hairstylists. And it changed my life with education and inspiration and a community of people.
Right.
And so it's been really great, you know, to utilize social media.
So who did your book cover? Was that your idea? Was it something that, you know, you collaborated on?
Yeah,
Tell us
how
a
I
little
did
bit.
that, you know, it's like I was at a place where there was a bunch of books on the shelves,
Mm-hmm.
and I took pictures, and I looked at what stood out to me, which
Mm-hmm.
was red, yellow, blue, red, yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like
Mm-hmm.
orange.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And my favorite color is orange.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My favorite color is orange. And I'm going to show you the book because I have it here.
Right.
Because the design was very intentional.
Okay.
So like I knew I wanted it kind of blocked. Like I looked at other self-help books, You're a Badass, Jen Sincero. And I liked her book of how it was just very simple to the point. Right. And so, and I had a book designer.
Okay. Okay.
And their information's in my book too. But she sent me like 5 different designs.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I said, I want it to be like striped. I want yellow and orange with black writing.
Okay.
And then when she sent with the arrow, I was like, that's it. That there, this way to your life, girl.
Right.
Okay. Come this way. And we adjusted, you know, I was like, no, I want the 5F, or I want the 5, and then I want F words. I want that in yellow. Like I want it to be bold. I want you to see it and go, oh, F words. What's that? Right. Right. And then manifesting with the arrow was dynamic. I was like, that's it. So that's how it came about, the design of the book.
Okay, good. So we are going to get into a little bit of what you do for a living. You've talked about it, but specifically, how did you get into doing hair? Was that something that you really said, okay, I'm going to be a hairstylist?
I said, okay, I'm going to be a hairstylist at 25. I kind of just like cut people's hair here and there throughout like my teenage years and up, because my mom used to cut my hair in the kitchen.
Okay.
So therefore I know how to cut hair. I had a pair of scissors that actually weren't like fabric shears. And so that's kind of how that happened. I was bartending. I was drinking a lot. And when I was turning 25, I was like, I really need to get my life together. Like, I do not want to be 30 and bartending with no direction.
Right.
And so when I was turning 25, excuse me, I went to beauty school.
Okay.
And when I was in beauty school, and by the way, I was a lost child. So there was a whole background there. That's a whole nother segment.
Right.
But like, I was a lost child.
Right.
And I entered beauty school because it seemed like the thing to do for me. You know? And so I sort of gravitated toward it. And so I just signed up. And when I got into beauty school, I literally was like, wow, I found my purpose. I found, this is what I want to do. I want to make people feel good, look good. And this was like my purpose now.
Wow.
Then I was able to visit a film set because one of my friends started dating a grip. And I was actually living in Seattle at the time. And she started dating a grip. They had an LA movie up in Seattle. So we went to go visit the film set, and he introduced me to all the hair and makeup team. Like,
oh, wow. Okay, stuff. Right.
And I was just like this really eager, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And they were so nice. And they're like, well, if you want to do hair and makeup, get your license and move to LA.
Right. How easy is that?
That sounds awesome. Great. So that seemed like a big pipe dream, but that's kind of how it started. And then when I graduated beauty school, I absolutely knew that that's what I wanted to do.
That's
So I
great.
just started doing, started learning. I
Mhm,
apprenticed,
mhm,
worked underneath a mentor, got
mhm.
my skill level up as a hairstylist. Then I went to makeup school for film. Then I started doing hair and makeup and
Mhm,
just doing anything I could to put together a portfolio to take
mhm.
to LA.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay,
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah.
in
So
that process, what was your first big show that you were did hair and makeup for?
the first big show in Los Angeles, let's see. It actually wasn't a show. It was a
Mhm.
photo shoot
Oh, okay.
that changed my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I met this woman. She hired for Getty Images.
Mhm.
And she asked me what I did. And so I was like, oh, I'm a hair and makeup artist because I'm feeling it. I'm focusing on it. I
Right.
am that person. I
Right.
am a Hollywood hairstylist.
Right.
I'm working the 5 Fs, everyone.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. And she says, I hire hair and makeup. Actually, do you want to show me your portfolio? Come to my
Mhm,
office, this whole thing.
mhm.
So I did. And she said, oh, I think you'll be perfect. I already have 2 makeup and a hair, but you're perfect because you do both.
You do both,
We'll bring
right?
you in.
Mhm,
And so I met 3 women that changed my life.
mhm.
And from those 3 women, I ended up doing Hallmark movies.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know.
Yes. The best, girl.
Right.
I would cry. Oh,
Right.
I'm like so bad. I'm like, I have to leave the room. This is too sad.
Right.
And so the Hallmark movies, and then my first big TV show was called The Swan.
Oh, the
It was
swan.
in
Okay.
2004. It was
Mhm.
like this horrible show.
Oh.
Horrible. It was a reality pageant show where they did a
Oh.
bunch of surgeries to make
Mhm.
ugly ducklings into swans. It was horrible. So anyway, I worked 2 seasons of that and
Mhm,
turned
mhm,
union.
mhm.
And so that's kind of how I started out.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So tell me, who has been your greatest support through all of this? Because now you're a lifestyle coach, a self
I call it
lifestyle
self-image.
self-image
Self-image
coach.
coach. It's,
Um,
how you feel on the inside
right, right.
about yourself.
So who's been
Yeah.
your greatest support through all of your process?
I'm going to have to say my husband.
Mhm.
He just, I'm so lucky. He just allows me. He
Thank
doesn't
you.
say like, I don't think you should do that.
Mhm.
I don't, what are you talking about? He doesn't necessarily believe everything I believe.
Right. Right.
Okay. Right.
But
I'm
he
like,
lets you be you.
he allows it. He really does. He's so proud of me.
Mhm.
And, there was one time, a little while when I was starting to, because basically I told him, I said, basically I'm starting a new career. So I'm doing a lot of
Right.
things for free.
Mhm.
I'm getting
Mhm.
myself out there. I'm
Mhm.
doing this, I'm doing that. And
Mhm.
he was just concerned about people taking advantage of me and my time.
Right.
And I heard him,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so, but he was like, that I love what you're doing. He's like, I really want you to know your value.
Right.
And so he's been my biggest support. Of course,
That
my friends too.
right,
But
of course. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, because it's important. It doesn't matter whether you're writing or you're, a makeup artist or hairstyle, whatever industry you're in, you still need that support. You still need that backup, that person
Mm-hmm.
who is just going to, you know, give you the real, but also push you forward and be okay with you being you. So that's very important. So what does Jerilynn Stephens like to do for fun?
Okay. I love riding my Harley.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. My husband, when I met him, he had a Harley. So like our 5th date was on his Harley. It was so cool. It was so sexy.
Oh.
But my husband and I rode for a long time. And then my son became big enough, our son became big enough to ride on the back of my husband's. And then all of a sudden I'm left in the dust.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so talk about taking fearless action.
Right.
By the way, I took fearless action learning how to surf with my son. There's a lot of things that just I suggest to everyone to do is take fearless action on something once a year.
Right.
That scares the crap out of you.
Oh, wow.
Like public speaking, that scared the crap out of me.
Right.
So, but yeah, riding our Harleys, we love it. And it's so fun. It's so freeing. So my son got big enough to ride on my husband. So I had to get my own bike. So I took lessons. And I did not just get any small bike either. I got this deluxe. It is beautiful. It made me cry when I saw it because it's like teal and white.
Oh,
it's gorgeous, you know. And the guy at the Harley place, like I literally cried 3 times buying this. Right. Like 3 different days. Like coming in the first time I saw it, I cried. And then when I'm like actually going to buy it, I cried. And then when I cried taking it. It was just, he's like, I've never cry.
Right.
I mean, I'm really happy for you.
Right.
Don't get tough, girl.
Right. That is so ironic, you know, because I'm turning 52 this year.
Oh,
and of
me
course,
too.
This year.
What month?
Next month.
Next
Actually,
month.
the 21st. I'll be 52.
Happy birthday.
So, thank you very much. To you as well in November.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Don't you feel so good in your 50s?
Yes. You know, don't get me wrong. I still feel the, you know, the waking up and like, oh, in the morning, but to be almost 52, absolutely. It feels great. It feels wonderful to even be this age. Some people are like, I don't want it. No, I feel great and wonderful about it. So I am happy.
Don't you think we're such a different 50 than our moms?
Absolutely. Different times.
Yeah.
Different times.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm looking at you and I seriously thought you were like 38.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I was like, we're the same age. I love it.
Thank you. I am going to play this.
Just play it over and over
again. It will never be taken down. But
oh
thank
my gosh, you look so beautiful.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Jerilynn Stephens, the 5 F words to manifesting your life. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. If you ever write anything again,
I'm going to. It's going to be the 5 F words 2.0.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great. And we will get to the 2.0 whenever you get it done and finished.
Yeah.
And I will have you back on. All her information will be in the description below where you can reach her for her self-image coaching, for her book as well. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon and through her website.
Yeah. If you get it on my website, I'll sign it and personalize it.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you. And I just want everybody to know that I do have her book, and she signed mine and her motto, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Her motto, you can't really see it, but her motto is, and I want to say it, either go big or don't bother.
It's dream big.
Bother. Dream bigger. Dream big and don't bother.
Or don't bother. Dream big or don't bother. It's like I kept hearing dream big in my head. I was like, you got to dream big, girl. You got to dream big. Like you are worth it. And then I heard or don't bother. I went, what? Okay.
And that's true. Dream big or don't bother. Because if you don't dream big, then how do you know, even
how do you grow?
Little win? Yeah, how do you grow? How do you enjoy the little wins. If you don't dream big, to say, okay, this is a part of my step. This is a part of getting to where God wants me to be. Period. Dot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
I have a journal coming out that's Dream Big or Don't Bother.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And t-shirts, just in case you want to wear one and be reminded, you know.
Right. Well, I will purchase one. I am definitely, I
so
appreciate you saying that, because, you know, sometimes we just don't dream big. We don't dream big enough. We don't, you know, focus on it. We don't move forward in fear, because fear stops us. We don't figure it out. We don't figure.
Well, too many people think too small.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
yes.
Because it seems maybe easy, like, oh, I can accomplish that. So I'm just going to think that way. Well, that's not a good goal.
Right. Right.
You want it to scare you a little bit.
Yes. And even starting, because I started interviewing authors last November, and doing this, I was like, okay, Lord, you really want me to do it? But there is that fear factor. How am I going to do? I've never done this before. So it was important for me to move past that fear. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your book. Welcome. Go out and get the 5 F words to manifesting your life. Thank you, Jerilynn Stephens, and I will have you back on next time for 2.0. 2.0,
girl.
2.0. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Welcome. Bye.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I will vicariously look at the voice and say, I know Jerilynn.
Yes.
And Kathleen.
Yes. And work your 5 Fs.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. I wanted to thank Jerilynn for joining me for another episode of Nita Nay's Books, Author's Point of View. Her book is The 5 Fs to Manifesting Your Life. She says, dream big or don't bother. Thank you, and have a great day, and see you next week. Bye-bye.